What's up, everybody? I am Dan, aka Dan on Drugs. You can find me on Twitter and IG at I am Dan on Drugs. I'm one of the hosts of the Black Law and Legal Lies podcast and a host of A Few Screws Loose, the podcast. What I'm doing is kind of giving you guys some tips, tricks, showing you how I record. In a previous video, I did just a quick recording of this room that I'm in. I'm not in my home studio at the moment. I am out in my pool house where there's no room treatment. There's a lot of echo. Echo, as you hear, and you're listening to me right now through my MacBook's microphone. And also, I got the webcam going. Y'all can see me, but I can't see me, and I can't see y'all. So it's weird. It's like I don't like being on camera, but I also don't like being on camera and not being able to see myself being on camera. So if I do some weird shit or I start slobbering or something like that, y'all got to look at it, not me. Shit. What I'm doing though is showing you how I record out here. We record Black Law and Legal Lies every week out here in this room. Untreated room. It's not ideal whatsoever to record in, but I'll show you how we do it. I'm using my Scarlett 6i6 second gen interface along with this $20 Behringer Ultravoice XM8500 mic. This is typically what we use to record. So I use Adobe Audition, and once I start recording, I'm going to switch the audio over so you won't hear me through my MacBook anymore. You'll hear the audio recorded through the mic. Without further ado, this is basically how I record, and maybe it might help somebody. Go ahead and launch Audition. One of the first things I do in Audition is check my hardware, audio hardware, to make sure my Scarlett interface is selected, which it is. So next I am going to create a new multi-track session, and I'm just going to name it Test Session. All right. Down here, sample rate 44,100. That's cool. That's CD quality. There's no reason to record a podcast any higher than 44,100. Bit depth. Always go with the highest bit depth that you can. Most modern interfaces are 24 bits. So you can use 24-bit recording, or Audition gives you the option of using 32 float. It's not 32 bits. I can't really explain it, so you'll have to Google that one. But it's not 32 bits, and most audio interfaces support 32 float as well. So that's that. Here's the multi-track session. So track one, you change the input. I'm going to use the Scarlett USB input 1, which is the first preamp on the Scarlett interface. And if I had my co-host with me, Ann would typically be on track 2, so I would change the input to Scarlett input 2. Becky would be on Scarlett input 3, which is the rear input, and I have a standalone preamp running. It's an Art Tube MP, cheap ass. It's like 30 or 40 bucks preamp. I have her running to 3 in the rear input. If I had another guest, they would be input 4, or if I'm recording someone through Skype or Google Hangouts, whatever it may be, they'd still be 4. But since it's just me, I'm going to continue with myself. Arm for record. And as you see, you can see the meter there. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start recording now too, so I can switch the audio over so you don't have to listen through my shitty uh, built-in PC Mac mic or whatever. Okay, so now the audio you're hearing is coming from this Behringer mic and my Scarlett interface. As you see, the meter is dancing over here. It doesn't have any numerical values, so what I typically like to do, I know what I'm listening for, but you want the loudest part of anything you're saying to barely be in the yellow. So as you see, there it was. It's yellow. Red is bad. Red means you're clipping, throw the whole shit away. So there's a few ways you can monitor your input. Adobe Audition has a built-in mixer, which I'm not gonna get into. You can use your Focusrite if you're using a Scarlett. See that red mark at the top? I was playing around before I started recording this, and I was trying to clip on purpose. If you ever see a red mark above your meter, you're doing something really wrong. You should never have any clipping, period. The hash mark here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but the hash mark is negative 12 decibels. And that's about where you want to be. If you ask me, between negative 10 and negative 12 decibels gives you plenty of headroom. And let me close this. Close, bitch. All right. Gives you plenty of headroom. So what are some reasons that you would typically see people tracking louder than this? One, volume. They want volume. They want to be loud. They want to be able to hear themselves. And if you checked out some of my prior videos, I said I would explain why why a headphone amp is important. The reason it's important is because it amplifies your headphone signal. That way, what a lot of people do is this. My preamp right now, I'm gonna snap a quick picture of it with my phone and see if I can splice that in. Okay. So right now, my preamp is at about 70%, right? And my headphones are maxed out. You can't turn it up anymore. So a lot of people they may have trouble hearing themselves. Maybe their headphone output isn't as loud as they would like. So to get more volume, what they do is they turn up the gain on their microphone preamps, right? So now I'm tracking a lot louder, as you see just by looking at the meter there, right? There's a problem with this. There's a lot of problems with this, actually. You can hear more noise, right? Yeah, you can hear a lot more noise. But not only can you hear more noise, you can hear my room now. And when I say you can hear my room, someone asked what I meant by that in the previous video that I posted. No, my room doesn't make noise. I make noise in my room. And the louder your preamp is, and the further away from the mic you are, you start to pick up the echoes. So that is why I mic close. And in recording Black Law and Legal Lies, I mic close. There's no reason to have my gain this high, especially in this room, which isn't acoustically treated. So, let me turn my gain back down. And again, just giving you an example, you can hear how how fucked up this room is for recording right now because of the echoes. And you could hear the damn clock on the wall. Okay. So now I'm back down to to about 70%. You can't hear me really on the mic. You can probably hear me faintly. That's not cool. So that's where close miking comes into play. So I'm in again, I'm in the same room, same acoustics, but with the gain dialed back, and being close mic'd, being this close to the mic, as you see, I can stick my tongue out and touch the mic. That's how close you want to be in a bad room. So turn the gain on your preamp down and get right up on this bitch. As far as not being able to hear yourself, okay, the Scarlett doesn't have the greatest headphone output, but it's good enough for me. For some people, it might not be. That's where a headphone amp, like the Samsung S phone, that's what I use in my home studio. But Behringer even makes one, and for years I wouldn't recommend Behringer gear, but some of their shit, it's quite usable. Behringer, I think it's called HA400 or HA800. It's like a $25 headphone amp. And what it does is you hook it up to the outputs of your interface, your Scarlett interface, or if you're using a Behringer interface, you hook up the output of your interface into the input of the headphone amp, and then you can further amplify your headphones. So if you have 4 hosts, right, you'll have a headphone jack for each host in this headphone amp. You can then control each set of headphones, volume. Some of them even have like mixer capabilities to where, or EQ, should I say, where you can roll off some of the bass, just to make the person more comfortable with how they sound. You can boost some of the highs, things of that nature. That's typically why you see people recording way too high. That, or they just don't know about how to set the gain on preamps. Less is better in less than ideal rooms. And again, just to demonstrate one more time, I have my preamp at about 85% right now. And I've backed off of the mic. So if I close mic, even at this volume at 85% on the Scarlett, it's a little too much. I can still hear the room because, again, the gain's pumped up higher than I'd like. Whatever you do, where as far as you're recording, you never want to see red. You never want to go. It's called clipping. If your audio's clipping, throw that shit in the trash. For real, like, get rid of it. Get it out of here. There's no excuse to clip, especially recording at 24 bits or 32 float, which is basically 24. There's no excuse. You have plenty of headroom. And for those of you who don't know what clipping is, it's when your audio goes above 0 decibels. It is, I can give you an example. If you're listening in headphones, you may want to turn them down now, maybe about halfway from where they are. I'll give you a countdown in 3, 2, 1. This is clipping. Okay. You can turn your headphones back up. If you look at that big waveform there, anything that high, and I'll blow it up later. And also you can look at my meter. You see this red right here, right above. Again, I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, but this red right above my meter means at some point I clipped. Throw the whole audio away if that's what you're doing out here. If I pull up the Focusrite, I think. Okay, no, it didn't store the clipping, but there's a red indicator above these meters too to let you know if you're clipping. You can reset the meter just by clicking on the red, and that's it. So again, just to kind of sum it up, what I do out here is we have 3 people in this shitty room as far as acoustics go. A lot of echo, but by turning the gain down in any recording environment, I want between -10, -9-ish if the room sounds good, to -12 dB as far as the peaks. And that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this one, and then we're going to take a closer look at the audio itself.